You want to incorporate it, but you want to incorporate it intelligently and not harm the system in a way. So I think it's an active area of research.
So I just want to add to what Pratik was saying. So there are two aspects to it. So one is the SLAM aspect. So where you can use these kind of objects to track yourself against the environment. The challenge there is what happens if the object moves, and that's something that actively also needs to be looked at in the context of localizing the user. So that can help in multiple ways. One, you might want your augmentation to move with the object. So in that case, tracking the object and tracking is something that's important, and that's the active area of research. And the other case where you don't, there are some augmentation where you just want it stuck to your wall. Like I place a TV on top of the wall and I just want it stuck to the wall. So in those cases, I still want my SLAM system to be able to track against the environment at large, not just specific chairs or specific objects in the environment. So that's still an area of research that even in academia, there's a lot of work that's been ongoing there, and it's something that we've been looking at, and it's quite interesting as well.
What are some things you're doing to reduce problems with motion sickness and headaches from using AR VR?
So I see one of the main problems with motion sickness. So I think compared to other devices in the market, Magic Leap has eye tracking. So we constantly look at the user's eyes and paste content based on what the user is actually looking at. So that reduces the accommodation versions conflict that you typically see on most AR devices. And that to a large extent solves the motion sickness kind of a problem, where you're not, most of these problems happen because you don't expect your content to be in the right location, and you see it in a different location.
And primarily, motion sickness is attached to VR specifically because you are seeing something in the world which does not exist, and it's basically like going against your ocular system. So on AR, since it's see-through AR, it's generally much easier because you can see the digital augmentation with respect to the real world. So it also brings in higher respects to, as Helder was mentioning earlier, that of latency, because if you have any amount of latency, it will be easily visible against the real world. But also leads to lower motion sickness. You generally don't have any, like very few people would complain of motion sickness in AR compared to VR, where it's tricking your ocular system of believing into what the world is where it's not.
I think someone's got mic there.
So I guess my question is about the use case that Kali talked about, where walking down the street with a phone in your hand is not very ideal. So if you have like glasses which basically augment screens in front of you, the user interaction is still currently limited to sort of waving your hands in front of your face, which again is not very natural. So I guess my question is, what do you see as an ideal user interaction experience in a next-gen platform, like moving forward in an ideal case?
So voice can be a very natural way to communicate, I think, with AR systems, and I think it's just a matter of time to have that integration happening on mixed reality devices.
Personally, I think there's a great deal of contextual information that is not being used. So let's say if I walk through a car train and I don't know how much my ticket, if I walk through the ticket station, the device should figure out, oh, I'm trying to buy a ticket, and you say, click here. And I can already do stuff, right? Because it kind of knows. So what I'm doing becomes like the equivalent of a Google search, right? Without me having to exclusively ask for.
And Magic Leap One also has a controller, it's just not hands. So it's pretty convenient if you want, and you can also use it outside of field of view. So you can also move it like a remote in your 3D space. So it doesn't need to be in front of your hand, in front of your face all the time. So you also have a controller with Magic Leap.
It actually reminds me, the last two questions were based on, it reminds me of Google Glass. So just kind of given like how that dealt within that market, where do you guys see yourself like kind of differentiating it? Because I don't think it was like the most successful, but now AR is starting to pick up. So
yeah, Google Glass I think was fundamentally different. I guess in terms of functionality, it was kind of like a smartwatch, but here.
Up here.
So if you have a text, you can get a notification kind of thing. but it didn't have the understanding of the environment or even if it had, it didn't have the power to actually do anything about it.
Okay.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the potential of specialized ray tracing hardware to enable more compelling content? Anyone?
I don't know, I think there's some pretty cool stuff, right, in terms of photorealistic graphics, and basically we benefit from all that actually. So the same power that can do that when it comes to mobile, it should also improve it.
So is it a matter of, sorry, just ask a follow-up question, is it more of a kind of a form factor and power, essentially?
So you can have mobile form factor, but also if you think of 5G, you can have
Right.
edge computing available.
Yeah,
And
that's
you already have examples where you can play a game from a simple computer, right, rendering on the Google
That's
Cloud.
right, yeah.
So it's already here, right?
I see. Oh, okay.
I'll just ask real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of outdoor experiments, placing like big buildings on their sites and doing some really fun stuff from like the tops of mountains. You guys talked about in your vision a Magicverse, if you will, where you would have the whole world 3D scanned. We started building models in San Francisco now, but are you guys going to provide your own models one day so that we don't have to and we can just theoretically go anywhere and just drop buildings and whatever else we want you guys to make?
So we provide spatial anchors or persistent coordinate frames that that developers can use to attach content to and retrieve them later as part of shared experiences or future sessions. So that's our way of providing that model to the users. I don't know if we have plans to release the maps, like the raw maps to the users at this point, but yeah, so that's definitely there's something that
Right.
they can use.
It's the inclusion that we want.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like the number one most important thing, that things can hide
Sure,
behind
sure.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, we can definitely use, like, as Ashwin was saying, it's a platform, so any data we get from you in terms of helping build it, we can help build on top of it.
Hey, hi. Yeah, we really believe in AR and its potential for mass enterprise use. What are you doing to make the actual hardware more affordable? Because our customers don't want to pay for it.
I think at least the version that we have, this is a more creative version, so it's to have the platform out and have developers work on creating applications on the platform. So, I mean, we are, I think we are, we want to eventually get to the point where it's consumer and have for everybody, and at that point we will, I mean, there's some things that we are looking at to have mass adoption.
Even B2B customers think it's too expensive.
Well, for enterprise, it's usually a function of return, right? Cost of return. So even if it costs like, I don't know, a lot, but if the return is more, there will be some enterprise company looking for that. But of course, cheaper is better.
Yeah.
But I guess at this point, it's more about what are the use cases that the existing platform can address, but then how things grow, and as any kind of mass production goes, you have scales of like gains of efficiency in scales, and everything gets cheaper.
There has been an insane amount of new technology that has been invented for this device over many years. So, and this is the first version, and of course, yes, we're working towards the consumer version of it, which hopefully will be more affordable. But that's that explains the cost for the first version, I guess, to some extent.
We have time for one last question. On this side. Okay, cool.
I'm really interested in how, I'm interested in how technology that we're creating today is going to impact how we interact with each other tomorrow. And there are definitely ways that problems that I could see occurring with heavy use of AR and VR. What are some ways that we can create an infrastructure for more ethical use tomorrow?
I think it's a joint effort between the community and the industry. Of course, as Tyler mentioned, privacy is our top priority, and ethics actually is a highly valued at Magic Leap. Yeah, so I think we have a good base, but we need the input from the community and feedback to how to improve that.
From an infrastructure perspective, as we've been talking about, primarily we want to keep most of the data on the device. So we want it to still be a very high performance computing on the edge, and then just require the minimal amount of it on the ethics side. So you can control it to as much as your wish. So if you want to control certain features on the device, it would be up to the prerogative of the user. So we're trying to build an infrastructure or Magicverse is primarily controlled by you instead of something like where it's controlled by the company itself. So it's trying to give more power to the people to do as many things as they want and choose the features according to what they want to do.
Yeah, I think it can come only through joint work between developers and the company itself. So we equally rely on developers like here with you guys, along with, and we will be there to support in any way that we can.
Yeah, it's just most of the use cases are still not discovered. I think we don't even know necessarily what are the ethical dilemmas, right? Like even like internet or social networks. Only today we're finding out some of the bad consequences of that. But I think it's a dialogue that the society has to keep engaged.
I probably have one last word to add about that, and this is from my own background. Working with Niantic Labs, so I was employee number 30 with Niantic Labs, actually working on their anti-abuse team, user operations. And during the first iteration of Ingress, the first game that we had, there was a ton of abuse. That wasn't even an AR, that was just a location-based game. But we learned so much essentially from that first game that translated over to Pokemon Go that really brought the abuse down. So, like the feedback from the gentleman here, I mean, first of all, it's actually figuring out the use cases. And then figuring out how bad actors can actually abuse that, because you will always have bad actors. I mean, just look at the internet, there's trolls, right? AR sometimes has a way, coming from the Niantic side, bringing trolls from the internet to real life. And that's something that developers and applications, and also from the ethics side, need to deal with. But it's a step at a time. There's a technology, there's use cases, and then there is essentially figuring out all the moving pieces in between as well. It's not an easy problem by any means, but really good question. And actually with that, I know you guys are all kind of like antsy in your seats because you want to go try out the demos. And I will, first of all, please give a round of applause for a wonderful sharing all your insights and experience, and with everyone also, the demos, of course. With that, I would like to conclude the evening and let you guys go and have food, refreshments, as well as try out the cool devices. Thank you.
What? Heading off? That's the name. Good luck with everything.
By the way, guys, yeah, is this on? Okay, it's on. Oh, okay, fine. I have one last announcement, guys, and just want a quick plug for Magic Leap. They are on sale now at AT&T. So if you like what you see here, you can go to your nearest AT&T and grab it there. Cool, thanks.
No, the Game of Thrones.
Oh, you are? That's actually fantastic.
so much data in our faces all the time. And then when we think about like spatial computing and going back to the work of natural state, like that, like when you're in nature, the kind of data or information that nature gives you is a very different kind. And I think like I was wondering, thinking about different kinds of information architecture that can serve you, like just the things you need, and just be a lot less passive and actually remove some of the like psychological well, it's not just UI, it's like what they were talking about, conceptual understanding conceptually what people are trying to do. Like if you go to the train station, if you're trying to buy a ticket, you want to be trying to buy a ticket, there are a couple other things you can do. Yeah, like maybe you're picking somebody up, maybe you want to see like when their train's getting in. I just like if you're populating that space with data. Yes, and it's psychologically taxing. It's like when you go to the grocery store, and I mean this is the most psychologically taxing thing. I mean, you go to the grocery store, you're like, I just want to buy like a granola bar, and then there are like 50 in the Safeway. There's 50 different kinds of granola bars. You're like, I don't know exactly, it really is, but like, I think that like maybe moving in the optic, like if you were like, okay, AR device, help me find, the granola bar that's represented, like some logos, and you make logos popping up everywhere. It sounds like a fucking nightmare. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I was like wondering how can we create like a more peaceful vision. Oh, what about VR? Yeah, I'm about to write another one. I've been working on VR stuff. And it's like thinking a lot about like facial filters and like color identities. Like facial filters in social media. That's my next one. Well, I think that like it's very telling that people are getting so into these facial filters that the private creators so like the Spark A thing, they were really smart. They were like, oh, we can't possibly make enough filters to satiate the need. This isn't scalable, basically. Facebook makes filters scalable. Let's allow all these other developers to make these facial filters, and that's when I was like, I like this. Right? Before it was like, oh, you can use this filter that gives you dog ears and makes your eyes bigger, and like your skin paler, and I'm like, oh, this is all kinds of problematic. But like to have all these indie creators